morning, everybody. We made it. Woo! Eyes, how we doing? Wake up, wake up. I am blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed when I wake up in the morning. Lay my head to rest. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. Thank you. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed when I wake up in the morning. Lay my head to rest. I am blessed. I am blessed again. I am blessed. Come on now. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed. Come on now. When I wake up in the morning, when I wake up, when I wake up in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, lay my head to rest. I am blessed. I am blessed. Yeah. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see love in every face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Good morning, beautiful souls. So, a couple days ago, I found the first of this year's baby bird shell. And the words that came were, "Nature often whispers first. The prayer becomes the way we answer back." So this prayer was inspired by that beautiful little shell. This is about rebirth, and it's important for us during our darkest times to focus on the light. I call the 6 sacred forces: earth beneath our feet, ancient waters who remember us, fire who transforms us, air who breathes through us, spirit who lives within us, the great turning wheel that renews all life. Today, we honor the sacred rhythms of rebirth. Just as the bird breaks the shell that once protected it, we naturally outgrow the forms that once held us. I honor the egg that opened. I honor the shell that was left behind. Both are parts of the great miracle. May we remember that rebirth is not only for the animals, the forest that sheds and returns, the rivers that rise and fall, the soil that sleeps and then awakens. Even the stars burn, fade, and are born again. Mother Earth herself is always becoming, birthing anew. May every spirit, every creature, every seed be blessed in their turning of the wheel. Where something has ended, let us trust that life is preparing its next breath. Where something has broken, let us shift our focus to the doorway of what is becoming. May the courage of the newborn bird live within all of us. The courage to break through the shell, to stretch unfamiliar wings, and to greet the new world once again. Bless the cycles of death and rebirth. Bless the quiet work beneath the soil. Bless the unseen lives that are awakening right now. And may we always remember we are not separate from this process, but an integral part of it. With loving gratitude to the earth, with deep reverence to the unseen, and with deep, deep love for all life rising once again. And so it is.
What's your name? Octavia, what are you speaking on? That's heavy. I just hope this fits, okay? You've got me feeling emotions deeper than I've ever dreamed of. Oh, you've got me feeling emotions high like the heavens above. feels like a dream when you love me tenderly. And I know that it's real, and I love the way it feels inside. You've got me feeling emotions deeper than I've ever dreamed of. Oh, you've got me feeling emotions high like the heavens above. You know the way to make me lose control. Oh, when you're looking into my eyes, I feel so high. You've got me feeling emotions deeper than I've ever dreamed of. Oh, you've got me feeling emotions high like the heavens above. High, 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 high. Ooh, you got me feeling higher. That's it. That was fun. All right. All right. Yay! Landis tried to sing Mariah Carey. All right, guys. Nice to meet you, Octavia. Welcome to Unity in Chattanooga. And everybody else. Love y'all. All right. See y'all.
Well, good morning and welcome to Unity of Chattanooga Sunday Celebration Service. My name is Amanda Adamson, and I'm rejoicing today and basking in the good news of my acceptance to Unity's ministerial ordination path. I want to thank you for your love, support, prayers, and grace, because I've kind of been hidden out for a few months as I had my panel interviews last week. All I can say is what a ride, and whew. They told me to pray us out, and I said, thank God that's over. And to our Facebook family joining us this morning, we're glad you're here. Thanks for letting us be a part of your Sunday. Jump in the comments, let us know you're watching, and feel free to share today's message with anyone that could use a little lift. Do we have anyone here for the first time? Okay, so we know what to do. For this day, for our congregation, for our world. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. The Christ in you refers to our divine nature, the core of our being, the same quality Jesus awakened and lived from his ministry. Unity of Chattanooga is a part of Unity Worldwide Ministries, a movement rooted in positive, practical, progressive approach to Christianity and the power of prayer. There's a lot of P's. Today we blend those teachings with ancient wisdom and modern psychology, science, to support healthful, joyful, inspired living. Excuse me, a little froggy this morning. And because we believe that divine exists in every person, we also recognize the strength, courage, and spiritual authority that rises through us, especially today as we honor the women who have embodied that power throughout history as we say a little bit about International Women's, is it a day or a month? Today's International Day. Just, okay. Okay. We honor the lineage of women warriors today, women whose spiritual authority was not quiet or ornamental, but fierce, clear, and world-shaping. Women who stood in the fire and led with spiritual authority. And one of these women is Deborah in the Hebrew Scriptures. She was a judge, a prophet, and a battlefield strategist whose clarity cut through fear. Barak, who was the commander of Israel's army at the time, stood as her second in command because he recognized her power. And when he hesitated, she delivered the line of a true warrior leader. "If you won't go," she said, "Spirit will find someone else who will." Deborah showed us that discernment is strength, courage, and, well, that courage is a choice. And Spirit moves through those who are willing. Deborah represents that higher state of consciousness within all of us. And Myrtle Fillmore, our co-founder, stands in that same lineage of holy strength. She didn't heal by passively hoping. She healed by confronting every cell in her body with truth. Her declaration still carries the force of a spiritual blade. She said, "You do not have to accept anything that is not true of God." So let that sink in. Myrtle's leadership was grounded in discipline, conviction, and a fierce refusal to bow to fear and unwanted conditions. And in that spirit, we acknowledge the heaviness many of us are carrying as the war evolving in Iran continues to unfold. We hold every life touched by the conflict in prayer, and we anchor ourselves in that same presence and power, and anchor ourselves with Deborah's courage, fueled by Myrtle's demonstration of healing. Even in times of war, Spirit does not abandon us. Spirit rises from within, and as Deborah and Myrtle remind us, that we are not powerless, not fragile, and not alone. Today we rise in their lineage, women and men of courage, discernment, and persistence. Truth is our armor, and courage is a choice, our choice. All right, now for all the good news. Let's see. Okay, let me make sure I'm lined up here. Right. So this Tuesday at 10:45, right here in this room, we will be having our Emmett Fox Sermon on the Mount book study as a part of our Unity Classics series. We have such a good time, and you can pop in anytime you want. We really get to know each other in that class, really know these people that show up and what's going on in their lives also. So it's not purely academic, is what I'm saying. On Wednesday, March 11th at 6 p.m., our own Linda O'Brien will present a full breath work session at her Alchemy Women's Group. There's a sign-up sheet in the back. And on Thursday, March 12th, our Unity Community Discussion Group will be meeting at 6 p.m. This month's topic is what's on your mind, or in your mind, on your mind. So, yeah. Eric Miller has scheduled the next Building Expansion Planning Committee meeting for next Sunday, March 15th at 12:15 following fellowship to talk about breaking ground for the new sanctuary. So be sure and show up. Robert Worth will be offering another acoustic sound bath on Saturday, March 21st at 2 p.m. The cost is $10 per person. Also today, our prayer chaplain, beautiful prayer, beautiful spring. It doesn't have the sunshine, but you know rain is part of the, yes. Noam Stark will be available in the back office for personal prayer. And most importantly, next Sunday, the Luck of the Irish will be bringing Sean O'Shea, how fitting, to town as our guest speaker. Also, following the service next week, we're going to be having our annual St. Patrick's Day potluck. The church will be providing corned beef And you can bring, well, think shepherd's pie, cabbage, potatoes, soda bread, carrots, or, God, I can't even hardly say this, or any leprechaun-approved luscious dessert. Did I leave out any stereotype for Irish Americans? So now, in the spirit of that, let's stand and greet our neighbors. Soon. Okay, let's get settled for our main event. Okay, so today it's my pleasure to introduce Octavia Farabow. Farabow or Farabow? Farabow, but with an F, Farabow. She is a lifelong student at Unity, a former Ewer, that's our youth program in Unity, a mother, a writer, a speaker, and a student in Unity's ministerial program. With a passion for sacred disruption, Appalachian storytelling, and spiritual evolution, her work lives at the intersection of Christianity, mysticism, deconstruction, motherhood, and doubt. It's true for all of us. And we can hold faith and doubt at the same time. Isn't that beautiful? She brings a justice-centered lens as she does. She brings a justice-centered lens to all she does, grounded in activism, compassionate skepticism, this is in my way, and a deep respect for evolving belief. Her sermons invite radical honesty, deep listening, and unexpected peace. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Octavia.
Hi, everybody. That was the gong. So, my name is Octavia, as I was just so lovely introduced. I will as soon as I get my laptop open. Hi. How is everybody today? So I'm in from Knoxville today, so I got a little bit of a nice drive on this suddenly early morning that I don't think any of us were quite adjusted to yet. And that beautiful reminder of why this is called the Great Smoky Mountain region as I was driving today. It was a nice grounding experience. I just had told Penny I actually just got over the flu. So this is like my first time around people in a while. So I'm just going to ask for a little bit of patience if I have to cough to the side or something like that, and my voice isn't quite as booming as it sometimes is. But anyways, I'm so excited to be here. I've obviously been here a few times in your seats, and now I'm here. And I've been given a microphone, which is actually why I'm in ministry, is because I like to have a captive audience. Aside from that, it's the incredible pay. I'm kidding, of course. Some of you do know me, some of you don't. And for those of you who don't know me, I've decided that I'm going to introduce myself in the way that is best, which is what I love talking about, which is contradictions, because I exist in the gray area, as everybody does. Humans are not black and white. Spirituality is not black and white. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I did not finish college, but I never stopped learning, and I continued my education in ministerial school. The first time that I ever knew that I was going to be in ministry, I was 16 years old at a YOU rally watching Reverend Robin Ryder speak. I don't know if any of you are familiar with her. She actually just retired last week from Unity of Venice in Florida. She's incredible. I watched her speak and I was like, I'm gonna do that. And then I quickly became an atheist. And then I spent about 10 years away from Unity, and then I found my way back. How many people, just curious, have been in Unity forever, like your whole life? So nobody. Yeah, there are very few of us who have actually been the entire time. And one thing about us is that we find our way away and we find our way back. I was raised by a Wiccan, an atheist, and a Bible Belt town that wanted to save me from both of them. I consider myself a Christian now, except when I'm still an atheist, which is usually 3 times a week. I love to be alone, and I hate the feeling of loneliness. My career led me to be a certified specialist of spirits, which in this context you might think is about spirituality, but no, I can tell you about bourbon, gin, and tequila. And I'm also sober. I'm a woman married to a man, and I'm part of the LGBT community. I pray for peace, and I also scream for it, because I believe that peace does not always whisper, and sacred is not always silent. Today we're here to talk about anger, and we're going to redeem it instead of shun it. I'm going to take my shoes off because I've not been standing a lot this last week, so my legs are a little wobbly. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, so first of all, to get into anger, I want to talk about the myth of nice spirituality. Who here is from the South? All right, good. Well, literally that half of the room. That's weird. So if you're from the South, then you've probably equated niceness to kindness to goodness because that's instilled in you. It's true. And I believe that it really comes through in church, especially if you're raised in Southern Baptist or any of the churches around here. So I want to first reference one of my favorite Bible verses, which is Matthew 21:12 through 13. And Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all of them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves, and said unto them, It is written, My house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves. Wasn't that so nice of him? I behold the Christ in you. We are conditioned in spiritual communities in the South to equate niceness for goodness and to believe that silence is grace and that politeness is peace and that anger is unholy. So we're going to break down niceness and kindness and goodness. And I grew up in Unity, and so what happens with a lot of spiritual communities is you get to a point, usually as a teenager or a young adult, where you start to realize your free will and realize that maybe everything that you were taught has holes in it, has things that aren't adding up. And for me, growing up in Unity, my resistance was to our teachings. So I like to talk about those things. So niceness is where I think a lot of people in Unity land. Niceness keeps the room smooth. It avoids hard and awkward conversations and avoids friction, sometimes at the expense of truth. It buys temporary outward peace at the cost of inner peace. Kindness notices suffering and moves towards it. Kindness sits with you in your grief. Kindness brings soup. There's a specific phenomena that I've witnessed in my 30-plus years in this movement where people in Unity believe that protecting their peace is protecting themselves from any type of conflict or awkward conversation, and a sense of personal responsibility seems to outrun a sense of empathy. I'm not sure if you've ever encountered that, but sometimes you just need somebody to sit with you in your grief. Goodness is concerned with truth. Goodness serves a good outside of oneself. Goodness sometimes disrupts a room when kindness itself isn't enough. Goodness is what fuels reform. So what happens when we believe the sweet little Southern myth that politeness and kindness are the only ways to goodness? We become complicit. We allow harmful ideas and even harmful people to stay in power because God forbid we appear angry, divisive, or not nice. Philosopher Karl Popper calls this the tolerance paradox. Has anybody ever heard of the tolerance paradox? It's one of my favorite things that dug me into a deeper understanding of unity when I was a teenager. The tolerance paradox is essentially that tolerance outruns itself. If you tolerate intolerance, then you're not actually very tolerant at all. And then there's no room left for justice and truth once you begin to tolerate intolerance. So maybe our anger isn't a sign that we've failed spiritually, but maybe it's a sign that we're paying attention and we're being called to action from the spirit within. Maybe it's our time to flip tables. Oh, sorry. Lost track of where I was for a second. Sometimes I go off on a tangent and then I don't remember what I was supposed to be talking about, which is why I need my notes. What if anger, especially the kind that rises in when we see harm, isn't a flaw in our faith, but evidence of our integrity, and it's part of our holy ground? I'm going to go into a hard conversation, which is what pushed me away from unity initially. In 2013, I had an infant daughter pass away, and my Unity church is what was supposed to be there for me. And instead, I was met with metaphysical malpractice, is what I've heard many, many call it. People telling me to look for the blessing in the situation or reminding me of divine order. None of which somebody who just buried a child wants to hear. People had a general not knowing of how to sit with discomfort. And for me, I had a lot of anger that I had been led to believe did not have a place in a Unity church. And so I left. I was like, this does not serve me. And I held on to that anger, not about my grief, but about the way that my community had let me down. For years. For nearly a decade. And then I went back and I was like, you know what? I remember wanting to go into ministry, and I think this contradiction can exist in my ministry. So now I'm here to talk about all of the contradictions that we have in unity. The problem ended up, it wasn't anger, it was exile. It was the exile of things that we didn't know how to sit with, and in turn, the exile of people who didn't know how to sit there. Gotta scroll. I'm on the next page now. Unity principle number 5 is that knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, is not enough. We must live the truth we know. Also known as, it's not enough to live it, or it's not enough to know it, you gotta live it, right? So I decided to think about our 12 powers and come up with a few of those that we can focus on living as we talk about disrupting what we think and know to be true. Zeal, one of my favorites. Speaking of Myrtle Fillmore, I always think of I fairly sizzle with zeal. Zeal is a holy fire, and sometimes that fire shows up in protest as much as it does in praise. Zeal. I fairly sizzle with zeal, everybody. I fairly sizzle with zeal. Oh. You want to do the whole quote?
And enthusiasm with a strong faith, to spring forth with a powerful faith to do that which ought to be done by me.
That's correct. I had to think about it too. I was like, yes. Wisdom, the divine power of wisdom, is not just knowledge, but discernment. Anger without wisdom is destruction. But anger with wisdom that is sacred clarity. That is what flips tables in the temple. That's the spark that can allow us to rise up and be the change that we wish to see in the world. That's what allows us to uphold boundaries for ourselves and eventually the world. I'm going to do an affirmation and then you guys can do it on wisdom. Guided by sacred wisdom, I choose justice and truth. Guided by sacred wisdom, I choose justice and truth. Good. Strength, obviously this one had to be involved in this conversation, right? The inner resilience to hold hard truths and still stand. Sacred disruption takes strength, not to be loud, but to be steady, right? Infinite strength upholds me as I do what is mine to do. Infinite strength upholds me as I do what is mine to do. Charles Fillmore said, "It's the childlike mind that finds the kingdom." I'm a mother to a 6-year-old, and let me tell you, he's got some wisdom. Some questionable wisdom, and some profound. So I wanted to take a moment to share with you some of my son's wisdom over the last few years. I have a note on my notes app in my iPhone, and for years I've kept my favorite quotes from my 6-year-old. So these have age stamps on them also. One of my favorites, this is my little social justice warrior. He said, "The world is not nice. Somebody needs to throw this world in the trash." This was in response to being told it was bedtime. But you know, I'm glad he's passionate about something. That was when he was 3, though. Also at the age of 3, he said, "Let's play a game called You Let Me Use Your Credit Card." And then this one was actually profound. One day he told me dragons and unicorns exist in the universe. And I said, "That's possible. There's like a lot of the universe we haven't explored yet." And he said, "Mom, they exist in your mind, and your mind is part of the universe." Yeah. I was like, okay. Write that one down. And then most recently, my favorite was when I told him, "I just told you, and I was very clear." And he said, "You were as clear as a butt, and butts are not clear." To me, that's discernment. That's the power of wisdom. I've seen divine rage in him, because children don't filter things through the same social constructs that we do, right? Kids have a strong sense of justice. It could be, that they didn't get the same number of goldfish as another child, but it's still a strong sense of right and wrong. It's very black and white. We obviously become more gray as we become adults. That's not necessarily a bad thing, that we become able to determine nuance in a situation. But I did want to throw in some examples of divine rage from people who we can look up to for their changes in the world, but we can also look up to for the moments that they chose anger in a calculated and effective way. Of course, I already mentioned Jesus flipping tables in the temple, which was not a loss of control, it was alignment with truth. Marsha P. Johnson, anybody know who Marsha P. Johnson was? She was a Black trans woman, often credited for throwing the first brick at Stonewall, although there's a lot of debate about that. She said, "No pride for some of us without liberation for all of us." And she acted in her anger in a way that changed the world for the better. In the conversation of disruption, we can look at Frida Kahlo, who disrupted the conversations about art and gender, right? Malcolm X, another great example of somebody who was able to bring forth peace with discerned anger. And I'd like to quote him here: "You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom." Then, of course, we have Myrtle Fillmore, one of our co-founders, who called her tuberculosis a mistaken belief and dared to claim health in defiance of death. "I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness." That was a disruption. That was a defiance in what the medical professionals said and what everybody had told her to believe. Divine rage is holy and never about destruction. It's about resurrection. We don't rage against what we don't care about. We rage because we love. Rage is a grief response, a boundary response, a sacred no to make room for a greater yes.
Say that again.
Rage is a grief response, a boundary response, a sacred no to make room for a greater yes. Yeah. And I personally will continue to be thunderously disruptive until the playing field is level for every single human being, and there is liberty and justice for all, because sacred peace can only exist if it exists for every person as accessibly as the next. I invite you all to practice spiritual honesty, not just nice, but kind, good, and real. What if peace doesn't mean silence or stillness, but thunder that clears the air for something truer to rise? May we listen to our holy anger, not rush to fix it. Let it have its space. Bless our discomfort. May we walk boldly towards truth, even when it trembles the ground beneath our feet. And may we be the influence of a better tomorrow, not just for ourselves, but for every single one of our neighbors. Yeah? 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 Oh. Anyway, that's where my notes ended, but that's not where my passion ends. That's not where my conversation ends. Yeah, I think it's super important, obviously, for everybody to recognize when we do feel those senses of anger boiling up inside of us, and recognize that maybe sometimes, not always, sometimes we just have human anger that we need to get in check. Let me be real honest about that. But sometimes it's because we are noticing something that needs our attention, right? So I'm gonna leave you guys with an acronym, because that's like the first thing they teach you in ministerial school, is that Unity loves acronyms. That's not actually what they teach you. I just know that from going to Unity churches for my entire life. So I'm going to teach you really quick my favorite affirmation in social justice and in the conversation of disruption, and that is love, L-O-V-E, will take out the trash, T-R-A-S-H. Ready? So love is listening, observing, visualizing, and empowering. right? We'll take out the transphobia, racism, ableism, sexism, and hatred.
Say that one more time, so I can write it down.
Also, I just, for some reason, said hatred instead of homophobia, which also it is. It's love, listening, observing, visualizing, and empowering. We'll take out the transphobia, racism, ableism, sexism, and homophobia. There it is. Sometimes I feel like I'm channeling, and sometimes I feel like I'm short-circuiting. But I will leave you with that. I will, am I stepping away before meditation? No, okay. I get to stay on the microphone, you guys. I love it. All right, well, I'm gonna invite everybody to find a comfortable position, to close your outer eyes if you are comfortable. We're all going to take a deep breath in, hold, and exhale. Another deep breath in, and exhale. We're going to take a moment to become very present in our bodies. We're going to wiggle our toes a little bit to remember where they are on us and in relation to us, and we're going to move up and recognize how our ankles feel. Recognize our calves, our knees. Feel the way that the chair feels on your thighs. Relax your hips. Relax your stomach. Unclench your jaw. Let your tongue fall from the roof of your mouth. See yourself surrounded in a peaceful, calm light. This light is cool and safe. Take a moment to feel as this light enters when you breathe and fills your lungs. As you exhale, let it clean out any feelings of stress, anything you're holding on to that you need to let go of. You can release on the exhale. We're going to breathe in that clean light one more time and hold it. And then on the exhale, we're just going to let it out. Taking a moment to think of one thing that you're grateful for on this beautiful Smoky Mountain morning. We're still focused on our breathing. Everybody breathe in one more big time, and we're going to let it out with a sigh. And as you take a moment to be grateful for the body that you're in and the blessings in your life, we'll fall into the silence. we're going to become present in our bodies one more time with those toe wiggles and those finger wiggles and rolling your ankles and rolling your neck and coming right back to this place where you are loved in this wonderful community. Hello, welcome back to the room. All right, are we moving forward?
Thank you so much for sharing your conviction and passion and truth with us today, Octavia. We really enjoyed your talk. Woo! So, as we give today, we remember that spirit works through the same law as we see in nature. What we plant grows. Scripture tells us those who sow bountifully will also reap bountifully. And now, as spring begins to stir the earth awake, we're reminded that every seed knows how to break open, arise, and multiply. Our giving is the same. A spiritual seed, your money, I have to spell that out, you're planted in fertile soil, calling forth the good we want to see and increase in our lives, in our church, and in the world. Affirmation, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give with love, and I receive with abundance.
I'm in the right place at the right time, just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time, I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I'm getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
All right, thank you, Steve. We bless these gifts and givers. May each bloom into abundance, opportunity, and peace. And so it is. Please join me in standing and let's celebrate and sing our peace song together. Just a little reminder, Noam will be in the back room for prayers. And please pick up your jackets and things so that we can transform to our banquet hall.
2, 3, 4. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God our Creator, in oneness all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God